Good morning, everyone. One of those, one of those Monday mornings I can't talk yet, and it's too early. We are entering our last week, so this is going to be, sadly, the last weekly walkthrough for the semester. So I'm gonna talk about week 15. I'm gonna talk about the final, and I'm going to encourage you. I just saw that there's I don't remember what it said. I think it said the 22nd. But don't forget to do your class surveys as well. That's something that's very important here at the end of the term. So the only thing that you are hopefully still working on, besides the formal analytical report, which you may be taking some extra time with, which is fine. But the only thing that is due this week is the final portfolio. And the only thing due next week is the final exam. So if you have any questions about any of the things that have been leading up or any of that stuff, that's fine. Let me know. I will be grading the resume and cover letter drafts first this week, which means you probably will not get feedback on your presentation or your video until late in the weekend, maybe even into finals week. I mean, just reality. I do have a day job, so can't be grading 24/7 like I used to. So anyway, but we are going to talk about the final portfolio because it's something that it just is a little bit technical to assemble it. But we'll go over that assignment. We've talked about it a little bit before, but we'll go over that and we will look at the final. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about here at the beginning with the drafts, you may have seen this announcement already, but the most common issues on the FAR drafts were a lack of in-text citation, and I'm very concerned about that this late in the term. Research has to be cited. So even though we are writing technical styled reports that you would write for the public, it is still an academic paper. And so it's got to be a references page, and those references have to be cited or referred to in the document itself. So that was a big one. If you need some extra help with in-text citation, the materials are all in the class. I mean, there's all kinds of helpful things in the class for that. But I would also urge you to reach out to the Learning Center or library if you need some extra help with that. Headings and subheadings. This was a big one for me, and I don't know. I know I've talked about it. I know I've put the information out there, and I think maybe people just thought it was optional. But the goal of this FAR is to have a very professional document. And one of the aspects of having a professional document is to use the correct coding for the formatting. So it's not even just a matter of making sure the formatting looks right, but you need to code things properly. And I'm specifically talking about headings and subheadings in Word. You don't just put things in bold. You don't just put things in italics. You actually want to code those things as a heading or a subheading. And I went over it. I gave video. I know I shared a YouTube even about it from someone else. So that's something you have to know by the time you leave here. So the FAR should be coded that way. And spoiler alert, you're going to have to do that as part of your final exam as well. So I do a quick demonstration today, but I would urge you to go back and look at the previous materials because I have provided those before. A lot of folks still didn't use any academic sources, even after I mentioned that in the bibliography assignment. It's an academic paper. It's a 2000 level class. We should not just be using websites for our research. I mean, it's just a lesson we should know by now. And then a lot of people hadn't put any visuals in, and I have a feeling it was just because you haven't done it yet. One of the reasons I don't like to call anything a draft is that people get the idea that it doesn't have to be completely ready. Technically, nothing ever has to be completely ready until it's due. But the whole point of having a draft to get feedback on is so that I can make sure I get you to the next level on it. So if you meant to add in-text citations later or visuals later, you don't have any chance for me to make sure that those are okay for you. So you have to have both of those things. In terms of the feedback, it's recorded. Some of them were done late last night, so some of you probably haven't seen it yet. After reviewing the feedback, of course, if you have a question, please inbox me. If you need help with citing sources or even finding some additional sources, use the library for help with proofreading, etc. The Learning Center tutors can help you with that stuff. Remember, you don't have to go to campus for either of those things. You can go to the library's main page and use the Ask Us button. All right, so let's go. I'm going to actually go ahead and turn on the student view here because we're not going to look at the syllabus. That's all that ship has sailed. So let's go to the module. And let's first talk about the final portfolio. It is due this coming week. I don't know. Oh, that's weird. Are we technically just in week 14? No, that can't be. Either way, let me open the final portfolio. All right, so the big thing. You are not turning in 6 documents. You are turning in 1 Word document. Within that document, you need to have all 6 of these assignments that have been revised using my feedback. Okay, so letters and memos, sample emails and texts, the technical, like smaller pieces, so the definition, the description, and the instructions, and then the resume and cover letter. The FAR doesn't go in there. The formal analytical report pieces don't go in there. None of that goes in there. Just these 6 documents, but it has to be submitted as one single document. Your rubric tells you that. So APA formatting, it will have a cover page. It will have references. You don't have to have the individual pieces with their references. All the references can go at the end. You can just include them with each one if they're like for the technical pieces. You may not have references for some of the others. So I'm gonna leave that up to you. If you want to put them all in one, that's fine. Notice, if you want to get 100% on APA formatting, you have to have proper headings and a table of contents. So this is why I wanted you to practice it on the FAR. I was a little sad that it wasn't there. Okay. Should be perfect. Proofread carefully. Should be complete. Must have all of the required documents. And this is your biggest point value. If you have not made any changes based on my feedback, you will not get a good score on responsive to feedback. So it cannot just be the original document. Hopefully you've been doing the revisions as we've gone along. And the only thing you're going to have to worry about revising here at the last second is the resume and cover letter. But if you haven't done that, you have a little bit of work to do this week. Okay. So, but those have to be, it has to be responsive to feedback. All right. So let me open, here's a Word document. So we're going to call this is that template that I've used before, and I will share this out again, but we're going to call this the final portfolio. And we're going to, we are in ENC2210. If you don't know my name by now, I'm mildly offended by that. And the due date for Sunday is, oh shoot, my calendar's all messed up. Behind me, I have a calendar there too, the 23rd. I should have known that. All right, so April 23. Oops. Ah. Okay. You're going to have a table of contents. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and insert a page break here so that this is on the next page. And I'm going to come back here in a second and we'll show you how to do that. So let's go to a page break. All right, this is going to be called, again, the final portfolio. This is one of the few times when I don't care if you just call the document what the assignment name is. Normally, and I've been talking to a lot of people about this as we've gone along, I have mentioned you need to have this be called something real. All right, we're going to add our first heading. I want to go back to the regular, there we go. All right, so the first document that we're going to include is the letters and memos that were originally submitted in week 4. So our first heading, why are you not going back? There you go. We're going to use heading 1, and our first heading is going to say letters and memos. You are then going to place your entire document somewhere here. Okay, I'm not gonna leave a ton of space for each of these, and I'm gonna get rid of most of this stuff just because it's gonna make it too long, and you don't need that much for the template. Move this over. This needs to be on the regular margin. Our second document that we are going to include here is the sample emails and texts. So again, heading. Place it there. Do one more paragraph. These are not going to be paragraphs. You can just type over them, but I just want to have something in between to show you where these things are going to go. You're going to have much more space in between once you put your real documents in there. Technical definition is next. So another heading. Next would be the technical description. Now, one of my pet peeves about this, now that I'm looking at it, is that the library did not create actual headings, which is really annoying. I'm going to get rid of this stuff because we're not going to use it. You will have visuals and tables and figures and all of those things in between, but you don't need it for this setup. Those are going to already be in your document. Technical instructions are next. And then after that is just the resume and cover letter. So those are the only things that are going to be in this document. So this will be the resume and cover letter assignment. And I'm going to get rid of the stuff here. All right. So again, if you do have a separate references page that you want to create everything all in one, you certainly can do that. I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff though, so that it is not in your way. We don't need any of this. And there's the references. I'm going to leave that in place in case you want to use it there. And then I think there's some stuff after. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of all the stuff after. Oh, it's just one. All right. I thought there was more down there. All right. So you now have a perfectly good sample document. So what happens is if you are properly coding things using the headers and the other pieces, when you go up here to page 2, because we're going to insert a, I think it's under cover page, which is, no, not cover page. What's it under? Is it under table? No. Is it under references? Yep. Okay. You'll click on the references tab in Word, and then you're going to click on table of contents, and you're going to add one. I don't care what style you use. None of that bothers me, but I'm going to pick the first one. And what happens is, if you have properly coded your items, this will populate for you. If you have not, and you need a table of contents, you have to manually go through and make this, which is a major pain in the patootie. Now, you won't necessarily need anything as far as a subheading, but let me show you what happens. So let's say we also want to add a subheading under letters and memos. If I were to do that, and I come back to my home screen and I pick heading 2 instead of heading 1. I don't know what is going on with that. Not even showing heading 2. Maybe I have to click styles. There should be heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. And if we had those, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's wrong with this document. I think it's the document itself. Let me see. There's got to be a way to add it. If there was a heading 2, then it would also appear in my table of contents. This is gonna bother me though. So the other thing I want to mention with this is that if you're ever having trouble with a document like this, one of the things that I highly suggest is going to YouTube and looking for a way to fix it. Because you can find articles that will help you fix it. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. Obviously, you really only need headings in this document, but typically when you open a brand new Word document, you're going to have access to heading 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if you have subheadings, you create heading 1 as the main heading, heading 2 as the subheading. And typically you don't have to go below that, but you know, as you get more complicated in your writing, it's entirely possible. You have to know how to do this because you are going to be doing this exact same thing in the final, which is why I don't feel bad about going ahead and kind of providing it for you right now, because I am going to do a save as, and I'm going to call this template for final portfolio. And I'm going to save, and I'm going to put this in with your video today. Okay. That's how you assemble the final portfolio, but it has to be a single document. It has to be, have a table of contents and be coded properly in order to get the best score that you possibly can. The most important part there though, is of course, you have to make changes, based on my feedback. All right. So the other thing I wanted to go over with you is that next week is finals week. Your final is due on the 27th. And I believe, yes, it is already available. So I am going to show you this. Nope, it's still locked. Dang it. Well, I'm going to get out of the student view and I'm going to show you. So those of you who are doing what you should be doing and viewing the videos are going to know in advance what's on the final, and people who aren't are not, and that's okay. All right, so let's preview it. All right, so question 1 is worth 20 points. You have a document to revise. So the following link is a proposal that is written in one solid block of text. Redesign the proposal using a technical format. Headings, subheadings, markers, chunking, white space, make it look like a report. You can change the wording to fit within your technical design. However, you need all of the information. So don't delete anything. Don't get rid of the stuff. And you will create this in Microsoft Word, and it needs to look like a report. So you will have a title, you will have headings, you will have, sometimes you may want to make a bulleted list. You can do whatever you want, but it needs to be revised to look like a report. And I can show you this. It's not a big deal right now. This is literally just a giant chunk of text. It does have a title page, but it's just kind of all together. All right. So it's your job to turn it into an actual report. The second question, also worth 20 points, is about professional writing. So it is a handout on using appropriate language and tone in professional writing. So it's kind of like a proofreading exercise, essentially. But it is, let me show you that. It is done kind of like you would have a worksheet. So you'll just type it up in Word, like save this on your computer, type it up, and then upload the document, just like number 1. So for both of those, you're going to give me a Word document back. You're going to get a Word document. You're going to give me one back. And then finally, it's just a basic little essay question. Essays have to be more than 1 paragraph. There's your hint for the day, but it is only 10 points. You don't have to go crazy with it. That's your preview. That's all you get. Those of you who didn't watch the video will never know until you open it. Oh, well. Anyway, it's been a fun semester. It's been a very long semester. I think we're all kind of glad to see the end of it, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your term. Good luck on all your finals. And if you're taking any summer classes, I hope you enjoy them. If you're not, then I hope you enjoy your summer. Everybody take care. If you have any questions this week, reach out.